When is the last time you felt, or when was a time you felt super close to God?
Hmm.
And what was that like?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's more recent times
But
than
like
this.
you're like,
Yeah, yeah. There was like we just had this last weekend. The church I go to, the Summit, we had a men's retreat, and there was some really just sweet times of worship and conversation and stuff there. But the time that came to my mind when you asked that question was, this was probably, it was at least 5 years ago. So I don't know why it's the thing that came to my mind, but it was definitely an impactful moment. There was, I don't even necessarily remember exactly what the issue was that I was wrestling with, but there was something going on in life where I was really wrestling with a big decision, and had been talking with people about it, praying about it. My wife and I, Kelly, were talking about it, and for whatever reason, it was just, yeah. I wish I could remember what the exact issue was,
yeah.
but it was like really kind of like, oh man, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. Um, and I remember very distinctly. It was like late afternoon. I'd got home from work, was thinking about this, and just was so kind of feeling overwhelmed with what am I going to do in this scenario. Went down to our bedroom. At that time, we were living with my sister and her husband, and got on my knees kind of in the corner of the room and was just praying. And I remember very distinctly, like the thought came into my mind. It was the kind of, I don't know if you've ever had this, but it was the thought that was like, this is someone interjecting a thought into my mind, not just me. This is not just a thought that is like randomly coming to mind. It was like God was talking to me very clearly. And it was the phrase, Andy will tell you what to do. And I just like, it was so impactful. I just started like weeping right after hearing that. And so Andy at that time was my boss, and still is to this day. We work in ministry together. Um, and that was just a huge like relief, because I think for a lot of the time for me, it's kind of like, oh, I have to figure out what I'm going to do. I've got to solve the problem. That's definitely a pride thing that I deal with. So it very much felt like, oh, okay, God's clearly answering like instantaneously this prayer that I had been really wrestling with, praying frequently. I ended up having a conversation with Andy the next day, and that conversation gave me some really significant clarity about what I was supposed to do in that specific situation. So that was the time that came to mind, like just very much a moment of like, okay, God, you see, you know what I need, and you are giving me a direct answer to that need in a very clear way. That was a pretty powerful moment for me.
Wow.
How about for you, man? Have there been any times like that where you were like, oh man, God's there, or I'm experiencing him, conversing with him?
Sorry, I had to move the mic. I would say for me, my my first ever relationship,
Mm.
that breakup was really really hard on me,
Yeah.
and people say it's like, oh, heartbreaks are tough, and like you hear the movies, you hear the song, but like it was pretty tough
Yeah.
on me,
Right.
and um, I've heard this phrase from my grandpa a lot. It's gonna be okay. Like he says it a lot, right?
Yep.
It's like, and as time was kind of going, as time was going by, I was still hurting, and then one night he's like, "Come over." I was like, "Okay." I went over to my grandpa's house,
Mm.
and but this time when he said it's gonna be okay, there was just like warmth, you know.
Yeah.
And I really do believe God does speak through people,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just something different. Like he said a lot of things, but that's the one thing I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after that day, my life just it was like a
What was it like? Okay, now this is not hard anymore,
so,
or
like
what changed?
that. As he said, it was going to be okay. God was saying, "I'm with you."
Mm.
It's like I thought I was alone on it, but I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then everything changed as soon as I knew that it's going to be okay because He's with me.
Right. Mm.
So
So we're in a series. We're talking about how do you practically be a real friend to people. We finished not too long ago a series on what is real friendship. Um, this might seem like a weird place to start talking about having these experiences of God. Um, any thoughts on how let's connect this for people? How does experiencing, being close to, being known by God connect with friendship and being a real friend to people?
Mm. You know, you look at creation, you look at how God created you, and you look at a God who knows everything about you, right? Who sees you, right? And to come in agreement on that and say, all
Mm.
right, wow, he really knows me, you know?
Yeah.
And yet he still is with me, and yet he still came down to save who? Me, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Just allows you to be that for others too, right?
Right.
So, um, perfect examples can be I've hurt people before, right? And whether it's not being honest, whether it's said something I should have said, uh, whatever that was, and then someone does that to me.
Yeah.
Let's just say someone does the same thing to me, right? There's two ways I can respond to that, right? I can fight evil with evil,
Yeah.
or I can do how I can respond. It's like, hey, like last time I did that, I was hiding from this. So last time I did that.
Mm.
So there's this compassion I have for the person that's doing me wrong
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like God allows you to do that for others,
Right.
right? Because He does that for us, right? And like, it's not God's not always saying, "Oh, you messed up again. There you go. Oh, you went back to that sin. Oh, you're talking to them." He's not doing that.
Mm.
And before the podcast started, we're talking about David and his prayers too. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much about like God is so much more gentle than we think He is, so too. But He's also like so much nearer than He's so much near to us than we think He is too. But also, He is more saying, "Just come back to me."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think of what is it? 1 John 4 talks about the idea that we love because He first loved us.
We
So
forgive because He first forgave us.
exactly, yeah. So there's a sense in which we as human beings, we are not the prime initiators in the universe. You know, we can do stuff. Yes, we have willpower, we have the ability to execute and take actions, but in a biblical worldview, it says that everything you have, or what Paul says in Romans, why do you boast about what you have as if you did not receive it? There's a real sense in which we have received, if you're a follower of Jesus, you have received love, you have received forgiveness, you have received grace. And it is out of that, I think, that we're turned out from our sinful nature that keeps us inherently self-focused, like we've talked about in previous episodes. And enables us to do exactly what you're talking about, to respond instead of in a selfish or harsh or reactive way, to respond and say, look, God has done for me this thing, I will do for you. I think another layer of that too is like, man, if you can't trust yourself to a God who is perfect, holy, loving, then how are you going to trust yourself to a person who, like you're saying, everyone is inevitably going to mess up or fail you or going to fall short in some way, shape, or form. But I think one thing worth calling out, we talked in the last episode, you need to, first episode of this series was if you want to be a real friend, you need to know yourself. Second episode was if you want to be a real friend, you need to know God. This episode is you need to be known by God, which I think is a pretty significant thing, right? Jesus says in Matthew 7, he's talking 7:22 through 24. He's talking to people who, so this is him telling a parable, but he talks about, okay, these people are coming in the end times, at the end of days, to God or to Jesus and saying, look, we did these miracles in your name, we cast out demons in your name. So they did this like legitimate stuff and gave credit to Jesus for it. But then Jesus says to them, be gone from me. I never knew you, you workers of evil, or you workers of iniquity, or evildoers. That's some pretty, like, that's a harsh, you'd think, like, oh man, if this person is doing stuff and saying, look, God's with me, God's enabling me to do these miracles, that they would have some sort of relationship. They clearly know about Jesus because they're using his name. But Jesus says it in this, I think a key takeaway from that passage is that it's not just enough to know about God or even to give credit to God for the uh, amazing stuff you're doing. You need to actually have a relationship with him. Jesus needs to know you, not just you know Jesus. Um, yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Well, also, how do you? I mean, you've heard said before. It's like, treat it like it's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's a relationship, not a religion, or
yeah,
phrases like that.
You've heard phrases like that though too. Like, but this is God. That's who we're talking about. This is God, right? And like, some of you are believers, some of you are not, right? If you're a believer and you've given your life to Christ, like, he deposit his spirit in you, like, you are saved, right? By what he did, by nothing that you did, right? It's all by the blood of the Christ, blood of the cross, right? So it's like Christ died for you and I, right? So also scripture also says that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He never changes. So it's not like he's like, I'm done with you as soon as you're
right.
And when life is hard, it's like, he's not done. He's still there. He's still with you, right? But I think so much of hurt or this brokenness or the past or the world, I think we can just keep pointing and pointing and pointing, right? And Jesus says, I'm still here, right? So why would you not want to get to know that? Why would you not want to go deeper on that relationship? But that's the only thing that's solid. That's the only thing that doesn't change. That's the only thing in your life. So why would you not want to go deeper there? But we want to go deeper everywhere else, right? We want to be medicated.
Yeah.
We want to get help. Like, all those things are good. I'm not saying they're bad, right? But it's also spiritual too.
Yeah.
And the heart, no man can understand it. Only he can, right? So why not go to the best physician?
Yeah. Amen. I think the challenge, though, that I see, I think there is in general, over my years of ministry and just growing up in the church and stuff, there seems to be this general idea that knowing more about God, like doing another Bible study or going to another retreat or listening to another sermon, and like being able to recite the information about God is equal to, or at least really close to, in general, equal to having a relationship with God. Like, okay, if I read my Bible every day, then I know I have a relationship with God. Or if I go to church frequently or whatever, if I have stopped sinning, then I know I have a relationship with God. But I think even just that passage, that Matthew passage where Jesus is saying, look, these people that come to him, they very clearly have some understanding of Jesus, and they have some pretty significant spiritual power and authority if they're casting out demons and healing people. But Jesus says, I never knew you. So there's a way biblically where you can work really hard, do a bunch of stuff for God in his name, and have a significant amount of knowledge about him, just like the Pharisees in the New Testament, right? You get they can quote large chunks of the Bible, but they just completely miss Jesus.
Is it was it their motives? It has to be their motives, but was it they did all these things?
Yeah.
They knew these things, because sometimes I feel like a lot of people know and don't do anything. These guys actually knew him and they did these things.
Yeah.
So was it not doing it with him? What was it?
That's a good question. Well, the first place my mind goes is in the Gospel of John multiple times, but I think it's John 8, somewhere in John 8 or 9. There, Jesus is having an argument with the Pharisees, and he kind of lands on the place that he says, the reason you can't receive my words is because you've chosen to receive glory from man rather than glory from God. So they're looking for the approval of people, or they're wanting the position or the authority or whatever. So that goes to the motive question. Or elsewhere in John, he says, you're doing the works of your father, who is the devil, and the devil lies. So the contrast there is like, man, if you're doing the works of the devil, you're looking for approval of people, you're looking for position or authority. The opposite of that is listening to Jesus and receiving from him, which requires, like Jesus also says in John, my sheep know me, they hear my voice.
So it's really who's leading.
Yeah. Who's your authority, who you listening to. But here's the key thing, and I think that what we're trying to get at with this idea of being known by God, it's not just enough to know the facts, right? Even I've heard this from multiple places. I don't know where I originally heard it. Even the demons understand who Jesus is. Like the first being to declare that Jesus is the Son of God in the Gospels. What is it? The Gospel of Mark, and I think all the synoptic Gospels, is a demon. Jesus casts out. He's in the synagogue. He reads from the scroll of Isaiah. They're like, "Wow, look at this teaching with power." And then there's a man who is, what is he, mute or whatever. He's in the synagogue. He stands up and starts proclaiming, and he's possessed by a demon. Jesus casts the demon out, and all the people are like, "Wow, look at how much power this guy has. He must be legit." So this demon speaking through this guy's voice is the first person, or the first being to acknowledge who Jesus is. And elsewhere in Scripture, it says, even the demons know who God is and they tremble.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean they're saved. Like they have better theology than any pastor alive, in the sense of like they can tell you more about God. They probably have better knowledge of the Bible. They have all this stuff. But what they don't have is they don't have a relationship with God, or particularly with Jesus, that is, I'll call it a real friendship.
Mm-hmm.
You might know a lot about him, but they hate him.
So where do we start?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll read this. This is, I think, a good quote from a fantastic book that kind of connects with what we're talking about here. It's a book by a Christian psychologist whose name is Kurt Thompson. Kurt Thompson. He wrote the book The Anatomy of the Soul. So he says this. It says, "You cannot know God if you do not experience being known by him. The degree to which you know God is directly reflected in your experience of being known by him. And to the degree that you are known by him, will be reflected in the way in which you are known by other people. In other words, your relationship with God is a direct reflection of the depth of your relationship with other people." So Thompson there is, I just wanted to make that connection between, he's saying there's a direct connection in a psychological sense. And what we're talking about here, I think, is in a biblical sense as well, that you need to be known by God as well as knowing about God. Like in Galatians 4:9, Paul just says, "But now that you are known by, or that you know God, or rather are known by God," when he's talking about the Galatians' salvation. So what does it mean? Like, how do we go about that? What does it mean to be known by God? I think psychologically, you'd have three major factors that go into being known by someone. You know someone knows you if there's a sense of recognition and understanding. Like they recognize how you feel, you recognize how they feel in a given moment. You understand what they're saying. There's a sense of security, like you feel comfortable and safe around them. And then there's a give and take in the relationship. It's not just a one-way thing. So those would be like kind of the three major factors, that, at least in psychological terms, that you talk about. Okay, I am known by this person. I have an experience of recognition and understanding, a sense of security with them, and it's a reciprocal process, or a give and take. That's what makes a mutual relationship, and not just a one-way street.
The way you can miss that or mess up that is to make it about you, though.
Right. Yeah.
It's just again, what sin is that self-focus, right? It's like turning it into yourself, right? So, but so much about, you want to be known by someone, you want to be known by God. It's like, man, it's like, all right, Lord, you have to turn to that thing.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to open yourself up. Like the only the only way you can have a sense of security with someone is by testing that out, right? Saying, I'm going to reveal something about myself and I'm going to see how you respond. And if you respond in a way that makes me feel secure, then I'm going to open up a little bit more. And I think we can I mean, this is a good maybe self-evaluation. I think there are a lot of people, I've talked with numerous people in ministries I've led over the years, who are really faithful Christians in the sense of they go to church regularly, they read the Bible and stuff, but they do not have a sense of security with God, or they do not have a sense of real conversation or give and take in their relationship with Him. So they maybe go to church, they read the Bible, and they feel condemnation. They feel unsafe. They feel attacked or whatever.
And that is the lie from the enemy.
Right. Yeah.
And how do we also make this super real for you? Like, I want you to think of someone in your life that really knows you.
Yeah.
It could be a parent. It could be a friend. It could be a teacher, whoever. Like, they really, really know you, and you feel super safe around them, right? You know that you can go to them about anything, right? We are saying this is how your relationship with God should be, though, too. It's like,
and that's open to you. That's exactly what Jesus has opened to us, is that kind of relationship with the Father and with Him.
yeah, it's not just a religion. Like, he wants you. He's extending everything to you, right? So, and man, that prayer that David prays is like, Lord, to search me. Like, there's things that I don't know about myself that He wants to reveal to you, though, too, right? But it's like this inner word and the outer word to match, and like He sees it all, and yet, and the thing that like I'm in awe, and still it's like He stays.
Right. Yeah.
Like, Jesus always responds perfectly.
Yeah, and just my encouragement, and if you're someone who's listening to this and you're feeling like, man, I don't feel like God recognizes or understands me. Maybe you say logically, okay, I know God knows me. Yeah. Like, He can recite fact. He knows all the hairs on my head. I got all the Bible verses. But what we're talking about here is not just a like logical, yes, I know that the Bible says that. It's a, have you experienced that? Like, when you come to prayer, do you feel a sense of peace? Just like when you're getting together with a friend that you're comfortable with, you don't feel like I need to perform, I need to put on a face. I can just come and sit down, you smile at each other, and you say, man, it's good. What are we going to do today? I don't know. Let's just hang out.
Yeah. Yeah. Friend, just let it go.
Yeah.
Surrender and just let it go, and that you will experience whatever He has for you. And His ways, again, leads all of us to a way that's peace and not regret, but also just man, like, this joy that the world can't give you. You can't get it from the things that you do. Only the joy comes from Jesus and abiding in Jesus and remaining in Jesus. And that can stay when everything is falling apart.
Right.
And the joy is Jesus. So, and He wants to get to know you more and more. But there's something about you. There's something that you're going to have to do, is just to surrender and open up. So
yeah. And here's the thing I can promise with that is, as you do that, it is going to transform your life. As you let God know you, it's going to change you from the inside out. As you open yourself up to receive the love that He has for you, it's going to free you up to better love the people around you and to be a real friend to those people that God's put in your life. But that needs to flow out of, going back to that 1 John passage again, we love because He first loved us.
And I would say about that too, like, just remember. And that's the season I'm in, just like remembering all the things that He did in my life.
Yeah.
Right? To restore that, right? Sometimes we can get life happens, and just busyness and stuff like that. And I'm just learning to do the things I used to do, and to remember, like, oh, God, You did that. And like, that same God can do how He did that to deal with this specific thing that I'm doing. Amen. That I'm going through. So we love you, friends. I hope this podcast was helpful to you. And yeah, if you like it, share with someone else, leave a review, and leave a comment. And we just thank you for just listening. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Hey friend, thanks for listening. We're all about equipping you to pursue real friendships. You were not created to be alone, because life is just better with real friends. Let's get started.